Welcome to Bedtime True Crime, the YouTube channel that takes you on a haunting exploration of the world of true crime, serial killers, and unsolved mysteries. Join us as we journey into the shadows, unearthing spine-tingling tales that will keep you awake at night. Don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell to never miss another thrilling episode. Now get comfortable, turn off the lights, and prepare to be captivated by the sinister side of human nature as we delve into today's bone-chilling story. In the late 19th century, London's East End was a cesspool of darkness and despair. The poverty-stricken streets reeked with crime, disease, and desperation. Amidst this grim backdrop, one of history's most notorious serial killers would emerge, Jack the Ripper. The year is 1888. Whitechapel district has transformed into a breeding ground for vice and villainy. As night falls over the city, an ominous figure lurks in the shadows like a predator stalking its prey. This mysterious man will soon unleash terror upon unsuspecting victims, leaving behind a trail of blood-soaked carnage that haunts us to this day. Who could be so cruel as to commit such gruesome acts? What drove him to mutilate his victims so savagely? And how did he manage to evade capture despite intense police scrutiny? In today's episode, we'll attempt to unravel these questions as we delve into the chilling world of Victorian London and follow the footsteps of one of its most feared inhabitants, Jack the Ripper himself. We'll explore each horrifying murder attributed to this enigmatic killer while examining witness accounts, evidence left at crime scenes, and theories surrounding his identity. Alongside this macabre journey through time, we'll also uncover shocking revelations about those who may have crossed paths with him or even narrowly escaped his deadly grasp. As we venture deeper into Whitechapel during its darkest hour, prepare yourself for spine-tingling discoveries about what truly transpired when Jack the Ripper roamed free. On the night of August 31st, 1888, a sinister figure lurked in the shadows of Whitechapel's narrow streets and alleyways. The air was thick with tension, as darkness provided ample cover for malevolent deeds to unfold. Unbeknownst to Mary Ann Nichols, these final hours would be spent drowning her sorrows in a local pub before meeting a grisly fate at the hands of this enigmatic killer. As midnight approached, an intoxicated Mary stumbled out into the cold embrace of London's East End. Oblivious to the danger lurking nearby, she continued on her way, each step bringing her closer to doom. In the early hours that followed, Charles Cross happened upon a chilling sight. Mary's lifeless body sprawled across Bucks Row, now known as Durward Street, bathed in moonlight. The savage brutality inflicted upon Mary sent shivers down even the most seasoned investigator's spine. Her throat had been slashed twice from left to right with such ferocity that it nearly severed her head from her body entirely. Yet this horrifying act paled in comparison to what awaited authorities upon further examination. Several jagged incisions marred her abdomen like grotesque battle scars. News of this heinous attack spread through London's East End community like wildfire, igniting fear within its residents' hearts. Whispers echoed throughout dimly lit corners about a vicious predator stalking their very own streets, one who showed no mercy or remorse for his actions. Despite exhaustive investigations led by both police officers and detectives alike, they found themselves grasping at straws when it came to uncovering solid leads or suspects linked to Mary Ann Nichols' murder. Days turned into weeks without any progress made toward solving this ghastly crime, causing unease within Whitechapel's population to fester like an open wound. But little did they know that things were about to take an even darker turn. For lurking in the shadows, a merciless hand was poised to strike again, claiming yet another innocent soul as its twisted prize. On September 8, 1888, a mere week after the savage murder of Mary Ann Nichols, terror once again gripped Whitechapel's streets as Jack the Ripper claimed his next victim. Annie Chapman, like Mary before her, had resorted to prostitution in order to survive within the unforgiving environment of London's East End. Annie spent her final night drowning her sorrows at the 10 Bells pub. As she stumbled out into the cold darkness around 1:45 a.m., witnesses reported seeing her engaging with an unidentified man, a chilling encounter that would prove to be her last. Unbeknownst to them both, fate had drawn them together on this fateful night. As dawn approached and shadows retreated from Hanbury Street, John Davis made a horrifying discovery in the backyard of number 29. There lay Annie's mutilated body, throat slashed so deeply it exposed bone, abdomen brutally torn open by unseen hands. Most shockingly of all, some of her internal organs were removed and placed deliberately beside her lifeless form. The ghastly scene bore striking similarities to the carnage inflicted upon Mary Ann Nichols just days prior. It was now undeniable that a ruthless killer stalked Whitechapel's dimly lit corners, one whose bloodlust showed no signs of abating. With panic tightening its grip on the community even further, authorities scrambled desperately for any leads or suspects connected to these atrocious murders. Despite their best efforts and heightened police presence throughout Whitechapel's labyrinthine alleys, they found themselves frustratingly distant from unmasking this elusive predator who seemed capable of striking anywhere at any time without warning. Fear continued spreading through Victorian London like wildfire each day, whispers echoing among frightened residents questioning if anyone could truly feel safe while traversing those darkened streets, especially when it appeared that Jack the Ripper lurked behind every shadowy corner waiting for his next unsuspecting victim. The terror in Whitechapel intensified on September 30th, 1888, when Jack the Ripper committed 2 gruesome murders within mere hours. This fateful night became known as the double event, marking an even darker chapter in this already horrifying tale. Elizabeth Stride found herself caught in the Ripper's merciless grasp that evening. She had been spotted with various men throughout the night, her final moments unknowingly ticking away. At approximately 1 a.m., Louis Diemschutz made a chilling discovery in Dutfield's yard off Berner Street, Elizabeth's lifeless body lying in a pool of blood, her throat slashed so violently that it continued to pour out crimson even after she was found. In a perplexing twist, there were no signs of abdominal mutilations or organ removal like previous victims, leading some to believe that Jack the Ripper may have been interrupted during his ghastly act. If true, it could explain why he sought another victim just moments after killing Elizabeth Stride. Not far from where Elizabeth's cold form lay, Catherine Eddowes met her grisly end. Around 1:45 a.m., P.C. Edward Watkins stumbled upon Catherine's savagely mutilated remains in Mitre Square. Her injuries mirrored those inflicted upon Mary Ann Nichols and Annie Chapman. Her throat viciously slit open while her abdomen bore multiple deep gashes and incisions. In a macabre turn of events, part of Catherine's kidney and uterus had been removed, indicating that Jack the Ripper took these organs with him as grotesque mementos of his sadistic deeds. The audacity and ruthlessness displayed during this double murder sent shockwaves rippling through London society and beyond. As dread reached fever pitch among Whitechapel residents, authorities desperately searched for any fragment of evidence that might bring them closer to apprehending this monstrous killer who seemed capable of striking at will without leaving a trace behind. Little did they know, the shadows of Whitechapel concealed a predator lying in wait for his next unsuspecting prey. The chilling final murder attributed to Jack the Ripper transpired on November 9, 1888. Mary Jane Kelly, a young woman in her mid-20s with fiery red hair and striking blue eyes, would become his last known victim, enduring an unimaginably brutal fate. On that ill-fated night, Mary sought solace from Whitechapel's cold embrace within various dimly lit pubs. With each passing hour, she grew increasingly intoxicated as laughter and music filled the air around her. As midnight approached, she stumbled back to her small rented room at Miller's Court, accompanied by a mysterious man whose true intentions were yet to be revealed. Behind those closed doors lay horrors beyond comprehension, for when morning broke over London's East End, Thomas Bowyer discovered a gruesome scene that would haunt him for the rest of his days. There on her bed lay Mary's mutilated body, forever etched into history as one of Jack the Ripper's most savage acts. Her throat had been slashed so viciously it nearly severed her head entirely from her body. Her once beautiful face was unrecognizable due to countless cuts and gashes that marred its delicate features. But perhaps most horrifying of all was what had been done to her abdomen, torn open with surgical precision, revealing organs and entrails exposed like some twisted work of art. In an act of unspeakable depravity, Several internal organs were scattered about the blood-soaked room while others appeared missing altogether, possibly taken by this sadistic killer as ghastly trophies. This level of brutality surpassed anything previously witnessed during Jack the Ripper's reign of terror over London's East End. As word spread about this latest grisly murder, panic reached fever pitch among Whitechapel residents who now lived in perpetual fear for their lives. Authorities scrambled desperately to uncover any leads or suspects connected to these horrific crimes, but found themselves frustratingly outmatched against this enigmatic killer. The questions that plagued their minds were seemingly endless. Who could commit such atrocities? What drove him to mutilate his victims so savagely? And would they ever be able to unmask this sinister figure who haunted the shadows of Whitechapel's streets? The daunting task of investigating Jack the Ripper's heinous crimes presented authorities with seemingly insurmountable challenges and setbacks. Despite tireless efforts to collect evidence and follow leads, they found themselves unable to apprehend or even positively identify this elusive killer. At each grisly crime scene, investigators painstakingly searched for any clues that could potentially lead them closer to solving these gruesome murders. They examined bloodstains in intricate patterns, footprints distorted by cobblestones, and other physical traces left behind by the perpetrator, all while hoping for a breakthrough that remained agonizingly out of reach. Forensic science was still in its infancy during this time period. However, detectives employed some rudimentary techniques in an attempt to analyze available evidence. For example, they observed the precise manner in which organs had been removed from victims' bodies, suggesting their attacker may have possessed surgical knowledge or skill. This chilling revelation hinted at a dark underbelly within London society that few dared acknowledge. Witness accounts played a crucial role in shaping the overall picture of who Jack the Ripper might be. Several individuals reported seeing suspicious men near murder scenes or with victims shortly before their deaths. These descriptions varied significantly, but often mentioned a man wearing dark clothing and carrying a bag, possibly containing his grisly instruments of death. The shadowy figure seemed to blend seamlessly into Whitechapel's labyrinthine streetscape, as if taunting those who sought him. Despite following up on countless leads and conducting numerous interviews with potential suspects, police found themselves no closer to catching London's most notorious serial killer. The sheer volume of false information, hoaxes, and red herrings only served to further complicate matters, making it increasingly difficult for authorities to separate fact from fiction as they desperately tried to bring justice for those whose lives had been so brutally taken away. As days turned into weeks without progress made towards solving these ghastly crimes, unease continued festering within Whitechapel's population. Fearful whispers echoed through dimly lit corners, questioning if anyone could truly feel safe while traversing those darkened streets, especially when it appeared that Jack the Ripper lurked behind every shadowy corner waiting for his next unsuspecting victim. The frustration and fear felt by both investigators and citizens alike grew palpable as each new lead seemed to disintegrate upon closer examination. Yet, unbeknownst to them all, a single thread of evidence lay hidden, one that could potentially unravel the enigmatic identity of this monstrous killer who continued to elude capture. But would it be enough to bring him to justice before he struck again? Only time would tell in this chilling game of cat and mouse between predator and prey. The lives of Jack the Ripper's victims were marred by hardship and heartache as they battled to survive in Whitechapel's merciless environment. Their stories serve as a haunting reminder of the human cost behind these gruesome crimes. Mary Ann Nichols was not only a mother of 5 children, but also a woman betrayed by her husband due to his infidelity. Left homeless and destitute, she sought solace in alcohol and prostitution before meeting her grisly fate at the hands of Jack the Ripper. Her tragic journey led her down dark alleys where danger lurked around every corner, culminating in that fateful encounter with an unseen predator. Annie Chapman faced similar struggles, grappling with poverty, addiction, and estrangement from her family. On that ominous night, she sought companionship within the 10 Bells pub's dimly lit confines. As laughter filled the air around her for one last time, Annie had no idea that death awaited just outside those doors when she crossed paths with London's most notorious killer. Elizabeth Stride escaped years of abuse by her alcoholic husband in Sweden, only to find herself ensnared in another web of misery upon arriving in London. Although marriage provided temporary stability, Elizabeth eventually succumbed to prostitution after losing her second husband to death's cold embrace. Catherine Eddowes' life was marked by unimaginable tragedy, losing 2 children during infancy while battling mental illness throughout adulthood. Yet despite adversity, Catherine remained devoted to her surviving daughter until their bond was severed on the dreadful night when Jack the Ripper claimed yet another victim. Lastly, Mary Jane Kelly, a young woman described as kind-hearted and generous, faced immense challenges despite appearances suggesting otherwise. At merely 25 years old, this flame-haired beauty would become Jack the Ripper's youngest-known victim, enduring unspeakable horrors that continue to send shivers down our spines over a century later. Though no survivors or near misses have been definitively linked to Jack the Ripper, whispers of encounters with this enigmatic killer continue to haunt Whitechapel's darkened streets. Many more women may have unknowingly crossed paths with him, narrowly escaping his deadly grasp as they navigated their way through a labyrinth of shadows and fear. As we delve further into this chilling tale, questions still linger. What secrets did these victims take to their graves? Did any of them suspect the true nature of the man who would become their executioner? And what unforeseen twists await us in our quest for answers? The truth lies hidden within the fog-shrouded corners of Victorian London. The identity of Jack the Ripper has remained one of history's most enduring mysteries. Despite numerous theories and suspects, no definitive conclusions have been drawn about who this enigmatic killer truly was, or what motivated him to commit such heinous acts. Many profiles of the Ripper suggest that he may have had some form of medical or anatomical knowledge due to the precise nature in which organs were removed from his victims' bodies. This led investigators to consider doctors, surgeons, and even butchers as potential suspects during their search for answers. There are several prominent names among those suspected of being Jack the Ripper, each with varying degrees of evidence supporting their possible guilt. 1. Montague John Druitt, a barrister and schoolteacher who committed suicide shortly after Mary Jane Kelly's murder. Some believe his mental instability and access to surgical instruments make him a plausible candidate. 2. Aaron Kosminski, a Polish immigrant living in Whitechapel at the time of the murders who suffered from severe mental illness. He was eventually institutionalized, leading some to speculate that his confinement coincided with the sudden end of the killings. 3. Walter Sickert, an accomplished artist whose paintings displayed a morbid fascination with death and violence. Some theorize that his intimate knowledge of London's East End provided ample opportunity for him to carry out these gruesome crimes undetected. 4. Thomas Neil Cream, a doctor convicted of poisoning multiple patients before being executed by hanging in 1892. It is said that his last words were, "I am Jack," sparking rumors that he could be responsible for the Ripper murders. Despite extensive research into these individuals, and countless others, there remains no concrete proof linking any single suspect conclusively to all 5 canonical murders attributed to Jack the Ripper. The psychological state of this notorious killer can only be speculated upon. However, it is clear that whoever they were, they harbored an intense hatred for women and a sadistic desire to inflict pain, suffering, and ultimately death upon their victims. The chilling legacy of Jack the Ripper continues to haunt us over a century later, serving as a grim reminder of the darkness that can lurk within even the most seemingly ordinary individuals. Throughout the investigation into Jack the Ripper's horrific crimes, authorities launched an extensive manhunt in hopes of capturing this elusive killer. Despite their best efforts to track him down and bring him to justice, he managed to evade capture at every turn. The police followed numerous leads, interviewed countless witnesses, and arrested several suspects, only to release them later due to lack of evidence or alibis. The sheer volume of false information and hoaxes further complicated matters as investigators struggled to separate fact from fiction. In a desperate attempt to generate new leads, authorities even employed unconventional methods, such as using bloodhounds for tracking purposes and offering rewards for any information leading to the arrest of the perpetrator. However, these tactics ultimately proved fruitless, in apprehending Jack the Ripper. As time passed without any significant breakthroughs in the case, public pressure mounted on law enforcement officials who were criticized for their inability to solve these gruesome murders. This frustration was exacerbated by sensationalist media coverage that often fueled panic, rather than providing accurate information about ongoing investigations. Despite exhaustive efforts by both Scotland Yard detectives and local police forces alike, no one could ever conclusively identify or apprehend Jack the Ripper. His reign of terror seemingly ended as abruptly as it had begun, leaving behind a chilling legacy that continues to captivate our imaginations over a century later. Although there have been many theories surrounding his identity throughout history, none have provided definitive proof linking any single individual conclusively with all 5 canonical murders attributed to this notorious serial killer. As such, the true identity of Jack the Ripper remains shrouded in mystery, forever casting a dark shadow over London's East End. As we conclude our chilling journey into the dark world of Jack the Ripper, it's important to remember that while his identity may never be definitively known, the impact of his gruesome crimes still resonates today. The terror he inflicted upon London's East End serves as a stark reminder of humanity's capacity for evil and the importance of remaining vigilant in our pursuit of justice. Throughout this harrowing tale, we've explored each horrifying murder attributed to this enigmatic killer, examining witness accounts, evidence left at crime scenes, and theories surrounding his identity. We've also delved into the lives of those who fell victim to his brutality and shared their stories as a testament to their resilience in the face of unimaginable adversity. Despite over a century passing since these grisly events unfolded on Whitechapel's streets, fascination with Jack the Ripper endures, serving as both a cautionary tale about society's darkest corners and an enduring mystery that continues to captivate us all. That'll be all for this evening, fellow night owls. We love to hear your feedback, so if there's a notorious killer or sinister story you want us to cover, please let us know in the comments, which we check daily. Also, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and hit the notification bell to stay up to date with all our stories and allow us to continue telling our true crime tales.